John, is this an overreaction when we hear from Tony K? The Odyssey will overtake The Dark Knight at the box office, or Dark Knight Rises at the box office.
Oh, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
Well, The Dark Knight Rises made a lot of money too. Let me pull up the
I think
exact.
it made more.
Well, that was because of how big
Yeah.
The Dark Knight was. Well, it made 1.08 billion. I can't remember how much The Dark Knight did, but 1.08 billion.
Dark
Listen-
Knight was 1.008.
Okay, so it did make more.
Yeah.
So here's the question. What we're really asking is, can the Odyssey make 1.08 billion? And I've gone on record. I think this is a very reachable number for the Odyssey. Listen, my whole kind of comparison to this has been, if Christopher Nolan can do a period piece biopic about a nerd in Oppenheimer, and that came razor close to making $1 billion. If he can do that, what's going to happen when he has equally, if not a more impressive cast doing a sword and sorcery, fantasy film like The Odyssey? Now, do I think The Odyssey is going to be a $2 billion film? No, I do not. Do I think it's going to make $1.6 billion? No, I do not. But again, if Oppenheimer can basically hit the $1 billion mark,
I see Oppenheimer.
all this has to do is barely crawl over that mark, 1.08. So I don't think it's an overreaction to say that it will exceed The Dark Knight Rises. Rob, what do you think?
I don't think it's an overreaction for the reasons you stated. And I also think what's really interesting is today, in terms of especially people that love movies, Christopher Nolan is not just a guy, he's a brand.
It's true.
And if
Yeah.
you think
Well
about
put.
and so is A24. And I think that what's really interesting about say younger audiences, Gen Z audiences, they look at Nolan and I would dare say that Interstellar might be, and just by what I see on social media, might be one of the most beloved movies in terms of speaking to a generation because of the emotional content of it, fathers and daughters, and what happens at the end of that film. It's kind of like, in a way, it's not like E.T. It's different than E.T., but it speaks, and because of that, Nolan's films in general, going all the way back to Memento, I'd say following, because that's interesting too, but Christopher Nolan has a really interesting filmography and style, and for whatever reason, people are gonna go see Odyssey because they know Nolan, the way Spielberg used to, delivers a certain, not as treacly or emotional as Spielberg, but a certain intellectual satisfaction in his movies, more so than like you feel, you walk out of a Christopher Nolan movie, even like The Prestige, and you feel a little smarter than when you went in, and I think that's admirable. And I don't think a lot of filmmakers necessarily have that. And that's true of even Memento. You walk out of that going, kind of a mind bender. I think I'm smarter for it.
Did you ever watch this here where he's explaining Memento?
Yeah.
I followed him and then I'm like, I'm still a little confused.
Yeah. Look, I saw Inception 8 times in the theater. And I'm still not convinced about the end of that movie. And I don't know if Christopher Nolan is, but it doesn't matter. And look, the guy made Dunkirk. He turned Dunkirk into an art film about a World War II incident that's not even about America. And I love it. And I'll tell you, I think that I'm not going to bet against the Odyssey. I do think the subject matter is not something people are necessarily going to gravitate towards, but you never know.
By the way, what's the name of the movie again? I know everybody in it. Steve Carell, Christian Bale, Ryan Gosling, about the housing market crash.
The Big Short.
The Big Short.
One of my favorite films of the 21st century.
You're talking about
The
how
Big Short is so
watching
good.
movies that you walk out feeling like you're a little bit smarter. I just instantly thought of The Big Short.
Oh, man.
When you walk out of that
That movie and The Social Network are the movies I've watched the most in the 21st century.
Huh.
Be that as it, and probably Inception too.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.